All right, patch 5.0 is here. So, and it's a big one. We got a lot to cover. So off the hop here, new Dark Angels customization pack, new obelisk operation where we got to flip the thing, new Majora's enemy, grips of customization options, and a surprising amount of gameplay and balancing tweaks. That's where we're going to be spending most of our time, but let's hit the high points like normal. New operation, cool. Unfortunately, it's that mission. Still, I will take having a new mission to grind instead of the same 7. New enemy, Zangor Enlightened. Now, if you've been playing the mod at all, well, you've been fighting these for quite some time. We'll see how this goes in vanilla, simply because everything in vanilla tends to do less damage. This might be really unpleasant. We'll see. Also, I'm curious how the devs think this matchup is going to go, because negligible headshot damage plus a thing that flits around the screen is not in for a great time. New season pass content with all the Dark Angels customization, so go get your first Legion on. No, there aren't any Fallen here. Why would you ask? Heretic. New Bulwark skin. Good luck playing Bulwark in the next few days. Other cosmetics for other options that, well, the Plasma Pistol and the Power Sword are good. Okay, so gameplay and balancing tweaks. Melee. They're of the opinion that melee combat on higher difficulties has relied far too much on the parry to gunstrike flow. Now, if you're anything like me, when you read that paragraph, your initial thought was, okay, so what are we nerfing? But I was pleasantly surprised. So we have increase across the board to all normal melee damage, which is nice. Completely reworking how block weapons work. Now, I've already tested this, but we'll get here in a second. The way it works is when you block, you get a stacking buff. When you reach 3, the next time you attack, you have a PB/AoE explosion and restore an armor pip. Sounds great. They say with these changes, fencing weapons will still be great versus limited numbers of enemies. Balanced weapons will be good versus big crowds. And blocking weapons will become damage dealer type weapons. So all block weapons have been reworked with a new mechanic, perfect block and adrenaline surge. And those are the stacking buffs that I was talking about a moment ago. So you can see here in the GIF, yes, it's GIF. It's how the file creator pronounces it. Don't at me. The assault already has the buff. Hits the gaunt, pop goes the explosion, restores an armor pip. Here's the thing though. As I said, I've already tested this morning. The buffs expire silly fast. So when are we supposed to use this unless against hordes? Because fighting a single Tyranid warrior, the buffs would expire before the warrior would do his next swing. So it's basically effectively impossible to get to 3 stacks facing one Tyranid warrior. Now, this might be what they're talking about in terms of having fencing weapons be best against single enemies. However, even when I was fighting one Tyranid warrior surrounded by like 4 or 5 gaunts, I might be able to proc it once, depending upon how aggressive the AI decided to be. But even in that circumstance, the buffs were falling off before I would get to 3 stacks. So functionally, not a whole lot's changed there, outside of the block weapons doing more damage now, which is nice. I'm not going to have somebody give me a free cupcake and then complain that my free cupcake doesn't have sprinkles. But the way this is being presented is perhaps less than accurate. So other tweaks, slightly reduced AoE stagger on fencing weapons. The AoE stagger on balanced weapons is greatly increased. Damage is increased on all balance, and damage is significantly increased on all blocking. I was testing this with the Vanguard. As y'all know how I feel about my Vanguard. The blocking combat knife, 1 taps gaunts into execute non-lethal. That's nice. See, stomps can now be chained indefinitely. Cool. Talking about firearms next, we have a quote here that I have questions about, but this is where we're at. Say, we are quite happy with recent updates to firearms. Pretty much all firearms are viable on the hardest difficulties now, and our win rate and pick rate data shows drastic improvements. Okay. I'm curious how they're defining viable there and on which classes. But further into the future with patch 7, we're planning to focus on reworking weapons perks. Overall, they're of the opinion that perks are underwhelming when compared with class perks, which is valid. Although I would still argue that class perks are underwhelming and or poorly implemented for the way each of the classes wind up playing. But separate issue. They finally directly called out the elephant in the room here with the grenade launcher. So there are quite a few bugs and misconfigurations that make it the way it is. Specifically calling out the entire refill of your reserves with, I think it's Emperor's Chosen, the perk that refills all your ammo on that, and then 1 mag of your primary whenever you kill a Majoris once every 30 seconds. Due to a misconfiguration on their side, the Artificer and Relic versions deal 4 times more damage than the Mastercrafted version, which was not intended. Okay. I mean, to be fair, Relic Grenade Launcher, like, you know. Due to a bug, perks that increase Auspex scan damage stack buffs inconsistently. Normally, all damage stacks buffs additively, which is what we'd suspected before when I did my get the calculator and notepad out on stream thing. So it's nice to see some verification of that hypothesis. However, that hasn't always been the case they're talking about. So it results in crazy damage numbers. I'm assuming sometimes they wound up stacking multiplicatively. They say that they don't want to fix all 3 bugs at the same time without providing other fixes, because that would pretty much neuter the grenade launcher as it exists now and tactical as a whole. They say they do want to keep the fun element of destroying entire waves of enemies, but at the same time, they recognize that no other weapon can match a grenade launcher with infinite ammo. Basically, I see this as them saying, hey, we recognize this is a problem. There's going to be changes coming soon. Just they're priming us so that when nerfs and changes happen to it, we're not surprised. We got some tweaks to the Volkite pistol. We have an increase from 1 to 1.5 for Tyranid Warriors, Rubrics, Flamer Marines, and Zoes. Specifically, the Zoe bit here is nice, because I would like to do more than tickle. Bolt Carbine gets an extra mag by default. Nice. That addresses at least my primary concern with running the Carbine stealth sniper build. So, cool. This last bit here is huge. Extermination bonus. So, we're actually going to get rewarded for XP, rewarded with XP, based on the number of things we actually kill in the mission. Great. A rank, killing more than 85% of things that spawn grants 120% XP versus what we would get before. Killing rank B, 60%, 110% of pre-patch value. Rank C, killing less than 60%, grants a normal amount of XP. I'm curious how you would manage to finish a lethal while killing less than 60%, but whatever. Gameplay quality of life tweaks. These are actually pretty nifty. Dodge and vulnerability logic is now client-sided. Great. I'm sure I'm not alone in having dodged, gotten the perfect dodge animation, and still taken damage which is lame. Hopefully this will tweak that. Players are now invulnerable to new instances of damage while in knockback. Also cool. This might also open up some other options for perk selection. We'll see. We got 10 iframes at the beginning of the jump pack launch animation, which is great. I would also really like to see iframes during the time between when you engage the ground slam and when you hit, because I have been sniped, and I'm sure most of you have. During that animation, when you would think, and it would make sense, that you'd be much more difficult to hit when you're going Mach 8 towards something's face. But I'm going to take the iframes at the beginning here and be happy about it for now. Dodge and parry sound notifications have been improved. Heavy's barrier can now be activated while staggered. Niche use case scenario, still cool. Controls are more responsive after grapnel. We got spawn protection and the addition of the Neo Volkite pistol in PvP. Nifty, I guess. Spawn protection is always cool. Again, I don't really play that mode right now. Might start looking into it. Don't know. Shielded Zoes now attack much less frequently. Also cool. Changes to the enemy spawn director and no longer fighting extremis level enemies on our first encounter right after the start of the mission. I'm of mixed feelings here. There's one, it's a hell of a way to jump into a mission, which is cool. And two, you get a pretty accurate gauge of how the mission's going to go. But I can also understand wanting some time to warm up and have people in pugs get used to how the others play. Lots of minor animation fixes for various enemies. Cool. Not going to complain. We finally get differently colored eye lenses. So now I have more helmet options for all my Alpha Legion. Nice. Better shading of Balthazar Gold and Ushabti Bone. And fixed a small number of bugs with armor pieces not applying colors correctly. Unfortunately, this does seem to have darkened Warpstone Glow a bit. So that's kind of lame for me or anybody else who runs the Alpha Legion emblem on the shoulder. But this seems like it's a net benefit for most players, so winning. Some tweaks to Fall of Atreus. The second sequence with the Dreadnought is randomized and now may not happen, which is unfortunate. I'm always happy to see Big Jim. Fusion battery needs to only be charged once in the final sequence. This is pretty nifty, just because that section does tend to drag on and can be onerous. Talking briefly about perks here. Are only fixing bugs with existing perks. However, they are seeing issues with them as a whole. A lot of the class perks are not as good as they would like, and some perk choices are really more efficient than others. I feel like that's a bit of an understatement, but I also understand the need for diplomatic language in official communication. With patch 6, we're planning to massively rework a bunch of lacking perks to make more builds viable. Cool. We have a list of general fixes here. I'm not going to run through all of them because y'all can read, and just focus on some of the important ones. Right at the top here, if you wind up getting kicked, which apparently has been a problem lately if you're playing in pugs, you're getting kicked right at the end, which is lame. You'll still get player XP based on checkpoint completion. So yes, you may not get the Gene Seed XP or full completion XP, but it's nice to not walk away with nothing. They fixed the heavy primary weapon bug. Great. Thought I was going mad every time I would play the heavy and be like, wait, am I actually holding down the trigger? What's going on? This guy right here. Fixed a bug with Bulwark's Armor of Contempt, not triggering correctly, and dealing friendly fire. So, provided they actually fixed it, this means that you can finally actually use the talent without nuking your friendlies, and it won't stop working randomly halfway through a mission. Cool. This one right here could be really cool, could be a problem, requires far more testing. Large number of minor fixes in perks, how they stack, and how they trigger in rare cases. This is what they were talking about earlier with the Auspex math. It's unclear which other perks they're talking about, so we'll figure it out. Let's see, we got PS5 Pro enhancements. Cool for people who play on PlayStation. It looks like you'll actually be on 60 FPS and 1080 to 1440 with the new upscaling that PS5 Pro has. On the PC end of things, we have frame gen support for FSR and DLSS 3. I did see some pretty significant improvements with this. I do still also see more consistent and higher frame rates using lossless scaling. I'll go ahead and link that in the description. Again, best $7 I've ever spent on Steam. Official statements on mod support here. Please note, stating with 5.0 update, mods will no longer be supported in public lobbies. You can find the full explanation at the link. Now, elephant in the room here, the Astartes Overhaul mod hasn't worked in public lobbies for quite some time because, well, if you're going to play a game and mod it, everybody who experiences that needs to opt in. So this kind of makes everybody play by those same rules. So today was a big one. We hit most of the high points, at least everything that I think is most pertinent here. If I've glossed over something that's important to you, drop it down in the comments and let us know which of all these changes you think will wind up having the most impact. Like, have you also checked out the block changes? Let me know your thoughts there. Like, am I just completely missing the boat with how that's supposed to work? Which is possible. Anyway, I've been Bald Squid. See y'all next time.